Hey guys, this is National Master Kevin Yang back at it with another video. So I left in a very difficult position, right? So we were against Fupalicious in this position where I have to decide, okay, I can't castle. Do I castle queenside? Or do I just try to roll with it as it is? So I said, okay, I don't want to castle queenside, but I can't castle kingside either. So what do? Bishop c6. This was ultimately a very big mistake. I was actually supposed to castle queenside, but I didn't know. Or I could have played a5, and after queen a3, I trade queens right away. That's a possibility as well. So after bishop c6, castle queenside, I said I have no choice. I said I cannot afford this rook to come out, this bishop to come out, and my king to be dying. So I said I have to trade. Queen takes, king takes, rook e1. Fupalicious is playing very well, and I have to play king f8. And here's the first, I'd say, slip up. Bishop f3. Now, why do I mean slip up, right? So if I take on f3, and white plays g takes f3, now this becomes, I would say, it makes my job a little bit easier, right? Why? Well, the reason is because of this pawn structure. Like, if you look at this pawn structure, it's not a great pawn structure, right? But if you look at the previous pawn structure, this is good, right? So if, for example, the king ventured all the way here, this would be an easy target. So that's why I say that pawn structure is very important. So in this position, I traded because this pawn structure, simple as that, because you're trading with me, but you're also conceding to a not as great pawn structure as these three, right? So I continue my road to recovery. I play rook c8. Now rook c8 is a bad move. Why? It doesn't threaten anything. So what was my best move? Well, I probably could have played maybe h5, g6, try to bring my king out earlier, but I wasn't thinking straight. So I played rook c8. Threatens nothing, because I can't take this pawn because of rook d8, so I don't know what I was thinking. But after a4, very interesting move, in fact. Setting up for this b3 sort of pawn structure, I say g6, b3, and now a6. Now, why am I playing a6? That is a question, right? Why can't I just play king g7? Well, the answer is rook e7, and it's going to look ugly, right? So, can't do that yet. I'm going to play a6. Why? Because after king g7, rook e7, now I only have one pawn that is threatened, and I can just move that to b6 and defend the things with rook c6. But there still might be rook d6, so I have to think about it. Knight e4. Now, this is both a good and a bad move. Now, here's why. If you consider the variation, right? Knight takes e4, f takes e4, I have the move b5, and now this sort of frees me from thinking that the rook's coming down here to the 7th is really deadly. Because now I have a threat on this pinned pawn, and that sort of gives me some time to break away. So think about it like this. Initially, this knight had control over the b5 square. So initially, after, let's say, rook d2, I still can't play b5 because a takes, and knight takes, right? And white is completely winning. Now, knowing that b5 is always going to be possible, that is why knight e4 gives me a little bit more flexibility. However, if knight takes, rook takes e4, now I have to think a little bit differently again. King g7, and after rook e7, once again there's this move b5, right? And if rook d to d7, I protect the pawn, let's say rook c7, and now I can sort of, think about taking here, and at this point, I could even take, rook b8, play rook b4, and I believe this should be okay for me, considering these pawns are easier to attack, right? So think about it. If we look back at this position, if this pawn was on g2, the pawn structure would have been much harder to attack. But now, it gives me leeway. And on that note, I will see you in the next video.